From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum. I am Ahmed Ramadan. The White House says President Donald Trump fully supports Israel as it resumes airstrikes on Gaza, killing over 700 Palestinians this week. This and more are coming up in our show today. Meanwhile, a U.S. judge has blocked the deportation of Badr Khan Suri, an Indian Muslim student at Georgetown University. Suri was detained by U.S. immigration agents earlier this week. Authorities claim Suri is promoting Hamas and anti-Semitism on social media. However, no evidence has been made public to support these claims, and Georgetown University says it received no explanation for his detention. The university also says Suri was legally in the U.S. on a student visa and was conducting PhD research on peace building in Iraq and Afghanistan. Suri is now being held at an ICE facility in Louisiana, awaiting a court decision on his release. His case follows the arrest of Mahmoud Khalil, a Columbia University graduate who remains detained. Khalil, who is of Palestinian descent, also faces deportation for his advocacy of Palestine. Civil rights activists say these actions are targeting campus activists and threaten free speech. The Canadian province of Quebec plans to widen its ban on religious symbols in public schools. New legislation, Bill 94, will bar students, volunteers, and support staff from wearing items such as headscarves, Sikh turbans, Christian crosses, and Jewish kippas. The existing law already restricts teachers from wearing religious symbols. Education Minister Bernard Drainville said the move reinforces the separation of religion and state in public schools. But the National Council of Canadian Muslims, or NCCM, strongly opposes the bill. The organization calls it a renewed attack on fundamental rights, especially targeting hijab-wearing Muslim women. NCCM is challenging the earlier secularism law in the Supreme Court. It believes the Quebec government is using Muslim Canadians as scapegoats to boost popularity. In a social media post, NCCM said this is the most important civil liberties battle in our lifetime. The bill comes after 17 schools were found to have violated the current law. It also requires yearly reviews for teachers and enforces strict French-only communication in French-language schools. Quebec says French is the province's official language. The bill has sparked a national debate over religious freedom, equality, and identity in Canada. A new report shows rising discrimination against Muslim women and Black people in Germany. The 2025 National Discrimination and Racism Monitor, or NADIRA, reveals alarming trends. It says that more than half of those targeted for their skin color or religion face discrimination at least once a month. Muslim women, Black women, and Black men report the highest levels of subtle bias, more than 60% in each group. For Black people, skin color drives 84% of incidents. For Muslims, religion is the main reason in more than half the cases. Around 42% of Black men and 38% of Muslim women say they regularly face discrimination in public spaces. Government offices are also a concern. 37% of Muslim women report unfair treatment by officials. Discrimination by police is another issue, with nearly 1 in 5 Muslim and Black men reporting negative experiences with law enforcement. NADIRA's director, Jihan Sina Nolu, says racism is present in almost all parts of society. He stresses that Germany must act as it is bound by international law to protect affected groups and ensure equal rights. Muslims in Australia are calling for urgent action against rising Islamophobia. A threat was posted on TikTok under a video from Lakembe Mosque in Sydney. The comment read, "Christchurch again, please," referencing the 2019 massacre at 2 mosques in New Zealand that killed 51 people. Lakembe Mosque issued a strong statement saying Muslims are being targeted online and warned of growing threats to mosques and Islamic schools. It is urging tougher laws criminalizing anti-Muslim hate and called on media and politicians to stop spreading division. Police have launched an investigation. Earlier this month, police arrested a 16-year-old boy over a violent online threat to another Sydney mosque. Muslim leaders are calling for strong action to ensure safety for their communities. President Donald Trump fully supports Israel as it ramps up deadly airstrikes on Gaza, the White House said Thursday. Spokesperson Caroline Leavitt blamed Hamas for the renewed violence and emphasized Trump's demand for the return of Israeli prisoners. However, reports indicate that Israel violated the ceasefire by refusing to proceed to the second phase of the hostage deal before launching new attacks. She said Trump backs Israel's military and resumption of attacks, which have killed more than 700 Palestinians this week, including women and children. The bombing ended a 2-month truce that had largely held until Israeli forces escalated on Tuesday. Observers note that Israel has repeatedly violated ceasefires while facing little accountability. Trump's backing signals continued U.S. support despite growing international calls to end military aid and investigate potential war crimes. Israel has launched a fresh ground invasion in Gaza, pushing into Rafah in the south and Beit Lahia in the north. Central areas are also under attack. Since Tuesday, more than 700 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli airstrikes, according to the health ministry, and over 900 have been injured. UNICEF reports that at least 200 children have died in just a few days. The bombing ended a 2-month truce that had largely held until Israeli forces escalated on Tuesday. Reports indicate Israel violated the ceasefire by refusing to proceed to the second phase of the hostage deal before launching new attacks. Israeli forces claim they are targeting Hamas infrastructure, but witnesses say Gaza's hospitals and civilians are bearing the brunt. The death toll is rising rapidly as air raids and ground assaults continue. On Thursday, Israel blocked Palestinians from traveling on Salah ad-Din Street, a key route between northern and southern Gaza. In Jerusalem, for the third consecutive Friday of Ramadan, Israeli forces restricted access to Al-Aqsa Mosque. Dozens of Palestinians were turned away despite having valid permits. The Palestinian Health Ministry says over 62,000 people have been killed in Gaza since October 2023, most of them women and children. Meanwhile, outgoing Israeli Internal Security Chief Ronen Bar accused Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of undermining the country's intelligence service and blocking ceasefire efforts. The International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for war crimes. Israel also faces a genocide case at the International Court of Justice. Violence erupts in Nagpur as Hindu nationalist groups demand the removal of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb's tomb following the release of a controversial film. This and more coming up after the break.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm right here. This is the largest refugee camp in the whole world. Rohingya people facing genocide from Burma live here without much hope. And their hope is connected with you. When I went up and down the hills of the refugee camp, they keep asking, can you rescue us from here? Can we go to America? Can we go somewhere else? I cannot raise my children here. Burma Task Force speaks for them. Please donate now. Support us. Support those people who are survivors of genocide.
A group of UCLA students and faculty are suing the institution over a violent attack on Free Palestine protest encampment last April. The lawsuit has been filed by 35 people, including students, professors, legal observers, journalists, and supporters. It claims UCLA officials violated the plaintiff's civil and constitutional rights. The group says the university allowed pro-Israel demonstrators to violently assault their peaceful encampment and then unlawfully cleared it with police force. The camp was part of a nationwide student movement calling for an end to Israel's genocide in Gaza. On April 30, 2024, counter-protesters attacked the encampment using sticks, fireworks, and other weapons, the lawsuit alleges. Victims say the university and police failed to intervene during the hours-long assault. The next day, law enforcement dismantled the camp and detained more than 200 people, including students and faculty. The lawsuit also covers a separate protest on June 10, during which more arrests were made. Lawyer Thomas Harvey said protesters suffered brutal injuries, including chest wounds and shattered fingers. He said many people still require serious medical care. The plaintiffs are seeking a jury trial to hold UCLA and individual attackers accountable. Spokesperson for the University of California Office of the President, Stet Holtbrook, says the system is reviewing the legal claims. He adds that the university condemns all violence and discrimination and has launched reforms to ensure safer, more inclusive campuses. The U.S. Attorney General has announced serious charges against 3 people accused of setting fire to Tesla vehicles and charging stations. Pamela Bondi says the suspects used Molotov cocktails in what she called violent destruction of Tesla property. She vowed that they will face the full force of the law, saying that any more attacks on Tesla will be treated as domestic terrorism and will not go unpunished. The incidents of arson come amid growing anger toward Tesla and its CEO, Elon Musk, who has become a controversial figure for his close ties to the Trump administration. Critics accuse Musk of helping push deep federal budget cuts, leading to thousands of layoffs. His unpopularity is hitting the company hard, as Tesla's global sales have dropped sharply. Last week, President Donald Trump held a press event with Musk on the White House driveway to promote Tesla. The move drew criticism and sparked calls for an investigation by some U.S. senators. They say it may have violated ethics rules by using government property to boost a private company. Billionaire Elon Musk is offering $100 to registered voters in Wisconsin who sign a petition against judges he claims are activists. The petition is run by his group, America PAC. Musk is backing Republicans who want to impeach judges that ruled against President Donald Trump. He echoed Trump's call to remove a federal judge who blocked migrant deportations. Musk also took aim at Chief Justice John Roberts, who warned against ousting judges. Observers say the move signals growing pressure from Trump allies on the judiciary. The Pentagon has reinstated web pages honoring Black veterans, Navajo Code talkers, and the Japanese-American 442nd Regiment after public outcry. Pages had featured legendary figures like Jackie Robinson, the Tuskegee Airmen, and Medal of Honor recipient Major General Charles Calvin Rogers. Officials say the content was removed as part of a directive from President Donald Trump targeting diversity, equity, and inclusion material. More than 26,000 images and stories were reviewed using search terms such as gender and gay. The move also flagged historic references such as the Enola Gay aircraft that dropped the atomic bomb on Japan during World War II. Critics say the purge was rushed and risked erasing key parts of military history. A Pentagon spokesperson claims the department honors these veterans for their heroism, not based on race or ethnicity, and any accidental removals would be corrected. Officials now say the review is ongoing but aims to comply with policy, not rewrite history. Chinese authorities in occupied eastern Turkestan, commonly known as Xinjiang, are forcing Uyghur Muslims to work during Ramadan to stop them from fasting and praying. Videos on Chinese social media show Uyghurs in the region doing farm labor and cleaning work during the holy month. China has banned fasting, and officials even demand proof that people are eating lunch. Those who seem tired or weak are suspected of fasting and are given more of what these Chinese government officials call ideological education. Locals who refuse to join the workforce face punishment. The government claims the move is to fight religious extremism. However, critics say it aims to control Uyghur religious life. Uyghurs are also banned from praying at mosques on Fridays or celebrating Muslim festivals. reports say entire communities must take part in forced labor and unpaid cleaning during Ramadan. Authorities also hold political study sessions at times meant for fasting or breaking the fast. A local official said the purpose is to monitor whalers and detect who might be fasting. Rights groups call it another attempt to erase whaler culture under the guise of controlling extremism. An anti-Muslim Indian film has triggered violent clashes in the central Indian city of Nagpur in Maharashtra state. The film, Chava, which portrays 17th century Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb as a brutal oppressor of Hindus, has reignited centuries-old religious tensions. Fueled by anger, Hindu nationalist groups are demanding the removal of Aurangzeb's tomb. His grave in Aurangabad is less than 3 yards long. Riots broke out as cars were set on fire, stones were thrown, and more than a dozen people were injured. Right-wing groups threatened a Babri masjid-like demolition, vowing that Karsaviks would take charge if the tomb wasn't removed. In 1992, Hindu nationalists demolished a 16th century mosque in the city of Ayodhya in the northern Uttar Pradesh state. But historians say there is no grand monument to target, only a plain grave built with money Aurangzeb earned by sewing caps in his final years. The demand to erase the tomb was first raised by a ruling BJP leader. Aurangzeb, who ruled for nearly 50 years in the 17th century, remains a deeply controversial figure in India. Hindu nationalists accuse him of persecuting their faith, while historians call for nuance. Professor Audrey Trishke of Rutgers University says the historical Aurangzeb and the Hunditva-created Aurangzeb are two different beings. The violence in Nagpur is the latest sign of growing Hindu-Muslim tensions stoked by political rhetoric and communal films. The United Arab Emirates has been labeled the happiest Muslim-majority country in the world, ranking 21st in the 2025 World Happiness Report. The report is compiled by Oxford University's Wellbeing Research Center in collaboration with Gallup and the UN. It ranks countries based on life satisfaction, social support, income, freedom, and generosity. Among Muslim nations, Kuwait ranked 30th, followed by Saudi Arabia at 32nd and Malaysia at 64th. Turkey, which is grappling with economic and political challenges, stands at 94th. Iran is placed at 99th. Egypt, which is facing multiple socio-economical pressures, is much lower at 135th. Qatar remains unranked in the 2025 edition. Indonesia, despite ranking 83rd, leads globally in volunteering and donating, reflecting a strong culture of community support. Pakistan is at 109th, still ranks ahead of neighboring India, which sits at 118th despite its economic progress. Meanwhile, Afghanistan remains the least happy Muslim country for the third consecutive year at 147th. Afghan women report the lowest life satisfaction ever recorded. UAE's high score reflects its strong social systems and high life expectancy. The report emphasizes kindness and social trust are strong drivers of happiness. Nordic nations continue to dominate the global top spots. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.